Igniting community, a safe space to learn, share, and grow. Don't forget to like and subscribe below.
Good evening, ladies in Igniting Community. It's Reet German coming from British Columbia, Canada. I'm coming in sharing on my motherhood journey. The topic of today is, what are we creating in 2022? What am I creating in 2022? I would love to share. And please, in the comments, share what you are creating in 2022. Creation, creating is such a beautiful word. Um, you know, we create life every single day. Our life, if you want to look at it on a grander scale, we create the type and the quality of our life. We create the environments around us. We create energy. There's so much that we create. And I would love to take this time and just speak on from a motherhood perspective what I want to create this year in 2022, because I could speak on creation for hours because there's just so many facets in our lives, in all areas of our lives. And, spiritually, career, vocational, financial, emotionally, mentally, familial, like from many, many, many areas of our life. I want to target in on my motherhood journey, is what I love to share on, and what I would love to create this year, and a few tips maybe to help guide what I'm using to help me create, so that it doesn't feel like these unattainable goals we set. Instead, intentionally create from a space and a place of love and gratitude, and appreciating your purpose daily, and knowing what you're creating, and kind of having that little plan in place in your head. We know in our head, but I like to write it down. So what I would love to share is also, to start off, some beautiful women in the Igniting community was sharing, and also my friends and I do this, share a word of the year. And my word of the year is being vulnerable. And it's such it's a touching word for me, because vulnerability is kind of scary. You got to put yourself out there. You got to be honest and share. So that's what I would like to share in my creating and in my journey here. So I'd like to start off by sharing, it's really important for me to create a safe space in my home. As a mother, I sometimes speak to my friends as like, we're the CEOs of the home. Sometimes, we don't give ourselves that credit, but I look at it like we are, because we got the menu planning, we're grocery shopping or getting help. I do empower my husband to help me, and I encourage women, all women, to delegate and ask for help, because without it, what are we creating? We don't have the time to create anything for ourselves, because we're just doing, 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 instead of just being, and being a little wiser and asking for help. So, what I am and I want to create this year is a safe space in my home. And what I mean by that is, as a mom, I can lose my patience. We get bombarded with things coming at us, and our children are home. I have one daughter, and she's 5, a beautiful soul. She can also push my buttons to the max, as many women and parents will know. So, what I'm intentionally creating this year is focusing on how I speak to her, how I provide a safe space for her to speak to me, and my husband to speak to me as who they are, just allowing them to be who they are and meeting them where they're at, instead of wanting them to be somebody they're not, or somebody putting my expectations on where I want them to be, who I want them to be. I'm really setting an intention to change my volume, turned my volume down a little bit. My daughter woke me up to a really big realization, and I'm being vulnerable here by sharing. I used this mentality and this phrase in my home, and I've used it on my husband. I'm just loud. I have a loud voice. I'm loud. I talk loud. It's who I am. Get over it. And I was humbled the other day when my daughter was really kind of being loud and just a bit abrupt with my husband and the way she was talking to him. I'm like, hey, we don't talk like that to daddy. And she turned around and she's like, Mom, I just talk loud. That's who I am. And I had a mirror moment. I saw her, me and her. She used the words I used on my husband. She overheard them. Of course, their ears hear everything, they're observant. She's at that prime age. So it woke me up to really do some reflection and become intentional, and every single day become aware of the words I use, the tone I use. Do I roll my eyes because she rolls her eyes? She gets that from, I believe, both of us, because we can be, we get become dismissive. And is that the kind of environment that feels safe? Not to me, it doesn't. And as I'm learning that I am her teacher, I am her guide, this is what she's learning from home. It's important for me to wake up and become aware how I speak to her, and intentionally speak to my husband. She hears it and she repeats it. So I'm creating a safe space by turning my volume down and listening more than talking this year. Really, really it's going to be challenging because I'm a chit chatter. I love chattering. I like the sound of my own voice to say, and I'm humbling myself by being vulnerable and sharing that I love coaching. I love inspiring others. And sometimes we forget we inspire others by action and a little bit of silence rather than always having something to say. Because actions speak louder than words. We know that saying. So I want to round off by asking you, what are you creating this year? That's just one of a big facet, because I was thinking on this today. And in my shower, as my daughter was going to bed, I found myself snappy at times, and I see her snappy. So how am I going to flip the script and change, create the change I want in the universe, empower my daughter with intentional gifts and intentional ways of speaking to us and each other and humanity? And I wrote down a few things that have helped me. First, I had to take responsibility. Take responsibility for my actions. And that's being vulnerable. It doesn't always feel nice to call BS on yourself. And I implore her, look in the mirror, because it all starts with us. I made some notes, so I'm looking them over. And in number one, set small goals or intentions for yourself this year. We have our big ones, but if we break them down to smaller intentions, goals, people are calling them many different things, it allows us to process and digest. And number two, take daily little steps. Doesn't matter how big or small, without judgment. Take daily steps in movement, in noticing, becoming aware. When my volume goes up, it's time for me to become aware and be like, take some breaths and take reflection, step back and observe, listen. So take small steps and plan out small steps and goals and intentions. Two, daily take small action towards those. And number three, celebrate the small wins or the big wins, all the wins along the way. Because if we don't intentionally slowly stop and celebrate the little victories along the way, pat on the back, a little hug to yourself or your daughter or your family or whoever you're celebrating with, celebrate that you didn't lose your cool, or you turned your volume down, or you have awareness. because all of life is meant to be celebrated out of love and gratitude. That's where the growth happens. So I hope this video comes in handy. Let's ask ourselves the quality of questions. What are we creating this year? What are you creating this year? Please share, like, and subscribe to Ignite in Community, and I look forward to our next video. Have a wonderful rest of your week and the month. This is Reet German checking out. This is my motherhood journey. Love and light. Have a wonderful day.